I think that the processes are a huge trend that will continue to develop. Like, how do we do more and better?
Hmm.
And how do we use these tools mindfully to create a better experience for the employees, but still make them feel like they are cared for as humans and
Hmm.
not just another cog in the machinery?
Welcome to WITT. Hi, I'm Megan. I talk with founders, investors, and operators working in tech. My aim is to inspire you with their stories and perspectives. Through this podcast, I want to amplify the voice of women working in tech. If you want to support WITT, then make sure you follow us on your favourite podcasting app. Then you won't miss any future episodes. Today's guest is Viivi, Head of Community at Horizon and former People Lead at Supermetrics. She's all about scaling teams, building belonging, and unlocking talent. Let's dive in. Hi, Viivi. Welcome to WITT. It's great to have you on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. A pleasure to be here.
Awesome. I would love to kick off our conversation with a lightning round. Is that okay?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. Well, first question. What's the first thing you look at when reviewing a CV?
I look at the experience section first, kind of like a quick scan, top to bottom.
Lovely. Second question. If you could change one thing about the Nordic work culture, what would it be and why?
Ooh, that's a really good one. I think I would change the overt consideration we have for others, and it sounds weird, but I would like less passive and more direct.
Okay, I like that. If you had to build a community from scratch in 24 hours, what's your first move?
I would think about what is the community for? What am I looking, what is the value that I want people to get out of it? And then I
Hmm.
would reach out to every person that I think would be excited to create the community with me.
Love it. And this is the most important question. Are you a dog person or a cat person?
I'm an every animal type of a person. I'm
Okay.
actually a sheep person, to
A
be
sheep
honest, because
person.
that is true.
Okay.
They are like massive puppies.
Fair. I like that. um, Number 5. What is the biggest myth about HR that you'd love to debunk?
Okay, so I have two actually. One is
Okay.
that HR is not your friend. HR can absolutely be a great negotiator that is in
Hmm.
your corner and trying to find the best solution for both parties. And another thing I would change is that if you are a people person, HR is not the only place you can go, and I would not necessarily even recommend it if you just enjoy hanging out with people.
Love it. Number 6. What is the best piece of career advice that you've ever received?
That's a really great one. I think like follow your gut. It sounds really vague, but it really does work. Like if you feel really excited about something, then follow
Hmm.
that feeling.
I like it. What's one cause or value that drives you to work?
I truly and deeply enjoy helping people feel good about themselves and
Hmm.
build confidence in themselves. And that's what drives me on a day-to-day basis.
Love it. What's your favorite kind of event to host or attend?
Ooh, I think I really enjoy fireside chats because they're a little bit more
Mm,
laid back, and you usually
yeah.
get to kind of like peel the glossy layers, the like kind of like PR stuff from the
Hmm.
top and dive into the like real good stuff, the juicy stuff.
Yeah, I like that. Um, Second to last question. What is a country that you've always wanted to visit but haven't yet?
It would be Canada. Uh,
Okay.
I hear Canadians are very much like Finns, but a little bit more sociable. So I'm really intrigued as an extroverted Finn to visit Canada, but hasn't
Yeah,
happened yet. Someday.
someday indeed. And then the last question for the lightning round is if you had to describe your kind of journey in 3 emojis, what would they be and why?
Oh, that's a really great one. Okay.
Yeah, it's
I
my
would
favorite one.
do um three emojis, my journey. I would say um a unicorn, the
Okay.
sparkle sparkle emoji,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
a
yeah.
rainbow.
Okay, what are the reasons?
Okay, so unicorns are magical creatures, and I
Yeah.
feel throughout my journey, my career journey, I have had many encounters and chances with that feel
Hmm.
just magical. I
Okay.
feel like my myself, I love the sparkle emoji. It's just like kind of it's my personal emoji, if that makes
Love
sense.
that. Yeah.
And then the rainbow in a similar thread to the unicorn, it kind of like appears in these magical conditions when
Yeah,
everything
yeah,
comes
yeah.
together, and then it just like happens, and it's
Hmm.
joyous, it's colorful, and I don't know, I just feel like somehow in the essence of my journey, I feel it.
I love that. Well, that was really awesome. Thank you for answering my lightning round questions.
Thank
And
you.
let's now move on to your journey, right? So, can you give us a walkthrough of your journey in people operations and community building? What are some kind of pivotal moments or challenges that shaped how you kind of work?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was starting my career, I originally graduated from this BBA program that was making me into an executive assistant. And so, of course, naturally, having graduated, I was like, okay, executive assistant it is. And so I did work as a administrative assistant for a while, then went on to another company or organization working as an office manager. And there I sort of figured out that this like office side, while I can certainly do the work, it's really not for me. I wanted to
Hmm.
be closer to the people experience, if that makes sense, the employee experience. And so I started to study while I was still doing office management. I started to study organizational culture, like how our culture's built, does it
Yeah.
scale, stuff like that. I was really obsessed with it. And
Okay.
so, pretty soon after this obsession started, I spotted a role that combined the office and people side. And I was like, okay, that's my way into a new field. Yeah, lo and behold, it was just that. Although I did have some personal myths to bust. So when I started in my then new role as people operations specialist, I very quickly realized that yes, HR is very much kind of seen as this is the people role, but
Yeah.
that there are so many other roles where you get to be um, peopling a little bit more, because HR is a lot about processes, rules, regulations, stuff like that, which I do enjoy. But yeah, it really helped me understand the field a lot deeper, got me a lot of experience in like the organizational culture, especially and employee experience, which is exactly what I was looking for, and allowed me to transition. And then hopping out of that role, I was honestly a little bit lost. I felt like my intrinsic motivation towards being a people operations specialist had definitely tapered off a bit. And I was not sure like what would be something that would be like closer to what I want to do. Like, would it be like
Right.
an employer branding specialist, some kind of a culture specialist? But we were in a market situation where these roles were not exactly abundant. So while I was figuring it out, I decided to found my own community because I had been quite alone with, thankfully, a mentor, but still alone in my role for the first year and a half when I started as a people operations specialist. And I felt like um, we should have a little bit more connection between people so you don't have to always try and reinvent the wheel. And that led me to found a community, and then things happen, and 4 months later I found myself as a community manager. So yeah, it's been quite
Yes.
the journey and still going on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it leads me kind of perfectly into my next kind of question. As you said, you are now the head of community and talent
Mm.
at
Yeah.
Horizon, right?
Horizon, yes.
Yeah. So what does it mean in this role? What does it mean for you, for
Mm.
growth, for the company? How did you find the kind of the right people in the right seats?
Well, I actually think that I was found in a very lucky fashion into the right seat. But if
Hmm.
you're talking about like how do I help people find careers that suit them, then I definitely encourage people to also follow what they are already interested in.
Hmm.
To
Yeah.
kind of think about and process and do this like kind of reflection with themselves, like what are the things that I actually enjoyed in my past roles, to kind of
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
almost like detach these components from their past
Yeah.
roles that they enjoyed, and then we can try and figure out like are there other roles and descriptions and paths out there that include these components that you
Yeah.
had in your past role but that you don't still want to do. So using
Right.
myself as a reference, I
Hmm.
really do enjoy creating a good experience for people, creating the experience of being seen as an individual. And I was able to do that both in my previous role as a people operations specialist and currently in community management. So I took that component and I got to keep it. So that's what I try to do also with
Yeah.
our community members.
Yeah, I like that because it makes sense. You're kind of piecing together what people really
Mm.
enjoy and then kind of helping them understand what job description in this case kind of fits that the best way. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. So kind of like flipping the script from like trying to find jobs and then like trying to like fit yourself into that very specific job
Yeah,
description.
yeah.
Instead we start with like, well, what do you actually like and what is out there
Mhm.
that includes these things? Because I believe that when you have genuine interest and enthusiasm about something, you are also more persuasive and
Yeah.
easier to, I think, trust in some ways in your
Mhm.
ability and interest in actually doing that job, which is rather important in our current market.
Yeah, you're more kind of engaged in what you're actually doing
Yeah.
instead of just doing it because of the for some reason, you know?
Yes, that is correct. And I am not
Okay.
saying that there is any shame in wanting to make money. Aren't we
Of
all?
course not.
But most companies look for that something a little bit extra, and usually that's intrinsic motivation.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I would love to talk a little bit more about HR, right? So you talked about
Hmm.
it a little bit in your lightning round questions. And I want to understand like what are some emerging trends that you see in HR or talent acquisition that excites you the most? So how do you see kind of
Hmm.
technology changing the way we build and manage teams in
Hmm.
companies?
Oh, I love this question. Yeah, in talent acquisition, I think that in the coming years, we will be getting better tools to support a more unbiased recruitment.
Yeah.
So I feel like the anonymization that's currently provided by recruitment tools like applicant tracking systems are still in very much in their infancy.
Yeah.
They're not very helpful, to be honest, because they still allow a lot of bias to seep in. And then for HR, I really do believe that currently we have an oversaturated market, and maybe a lot of employers are uh, not really paying attention to the employee experience because, oh, well, it's oversaturated market, we can just replace you. But I think the smart
Mhm.
companies have been investing and will be investing now and in the future in the employee experience and inclusivity and
Yeah.
belonging and the equity of their organizational culture. And especially lately, what I've been kind of like hearing little echoes in the ecosystem is the importance of transparency. And transparency, I see as a really surprisingly difficult skill for leaders to have. And I think this will be
Yeah.
a rising trend. Like, how do we engage people in decision making and stay transparent, even when it's difficult
Mhm.
things? Well, yeah, there's been a lot of layoffs and so on, for example. So, in these
Yeah, yes.
situations, I think transparency is incredibly important. Like, why are we doing these things, or like, why these business units and so on. And yeah, I didn't address the tech side for HR, but I think automation
Yeah,
especially in like onboarding and other people processes will be on the rise. It's already there and it will be there, and it's actually great because it helps with scheduling and making especially onboarding processes or offboarding processes really smooth when things
yeah,
happen when there should be, and it's not reliant on one person.
yeah. So we're definitely seeing a kind of massive shift in the team building process and acquiring people process.
Yes, I think that the processes are a huge trend that will continue to develop. Like, how do we do more and
Hmm.
better? And how do we use these tools mindfully to create a better experience for the employees, but still make them feel like they are cared for as humans and
Hmm.
not just another cog in the machinery?
Yeah, definitely making them feel like they're actually a part of the company instead of just a,
Mm,
yeah, as you said, a cog.
yeah.
Let's move on and let's talk to a little bit about kind of social impact work. Right. So I know that you are especially passionate about supporting kind of international talent in Finland, this
Yes,
particular.
that is
And
correct.
what does social impact mean to you personally? And how can we like integrate it into day-to-day work?
Ooh, this is such a fun question. I've never actually
Yeah.
had to define this truly for myself, so this will be the first time. But
Okay.
how I see social impact for myself and in my work
Mhm.
um, is that when we support, and this is of course like through my own lens, but like when I
Mhm.
support our community members in their kind of career journey, it's more than just finding a job. It is about
Right.
providing a place of belonging, a place where you are seen and where you are heard and where you are supported. And
Yeah.
it's no secret that job search in our current market situation sucks. Like, capital letters sucks. Okay. So
Mhm.
it's incredibly challenging mentally to go through these repeated rejections.
Yeah.
And then maybe you've just moved here, or maybe you've been here in Finland for a year, 2 years. Maybe you don't
Mhm.
have proper support networks. Maybe you don't have close friends outside of your
Totally.
immediate family circle. And I think that the impact that we create and that I personally wish to create in the lives of our community members is this deeper sense of belonging, supporting their
Yeah.
integration into society, and through that, like long lasting positive impact and happiness. I don't know if happiness is too fluffy of a word,
Yeah, yeah. No,
but
no,
that's
no.
what I really do hope. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, and how does that happen? I think it's a lot of little actions, and not just
Yeah.
mine, but other people. And I think that's kind of the
Mhm.
point of community, even though communities tend to have a leader, a founder, someone who sort of owns, in a way, owns now in a product sense or a service sense, the community, so that things
Mm.
will keep on happening.
Yeah.
But I think a successful community is where people feel empowered to act and
Yeah.
kind of like
Definitely.
keep the wheels rolling. And in our community, whenever somebody brings up a need for support or shares happy news or whatever it is, I'm so happy every time to see that other people rally to support
Mhm.
them. And this
Yeah.
is what I hope that this community will outlive me by, I don't know, five, tens of years, by decades.
Yes. Lovely. Well, I would love to keep on the kind of social impact train, wheel, and whatever metaphor you want to use. But I want you to give some advice to
Mm,
some young professionals or entrepreneurs or just people that want to
mm,
build their own community, let's say,
mm,
on how to build their careers around social impact?
Right. So wanting to impact people positively through community that they found. I would advise to first think about what is that impact? Well, many people already know. Like, I knew that I wanted to help people connect with peers and to
Yeah.
allow like a more free transfer of knowledge. And then later on, I've been wanting to help people build networks and friendships that will last, and help people get to like understand their strengths and like why they're uniquely amazing as professionals, but also
Hmm.
as just like a person. So for someone who is starting out, I would definitely encourage figuring out like, why do you want to do this? Like, what is the value that you want to produce? And then just get started, start talking about it, tell your friends, tell your family, like
Yeah, word of mouth
publish
kind of thing.
yeah, your channel of choice. So think about like, where's your audience at? So if it's a professional community, I'm sure LinkedIn is a really great place. I have for once seen it for myself. But then
Hmm.
I'm also part of other communities that are more like, so like more, I don't know, traditional social media based. So for example, there's this wonderful community called, I think it's called Cafe Kaveri, which is like meeting new people through coffee dates. And that is on TikTok and on Instagram, because that's where people are kind of like scrolling and maybe looking for a connection with other people, but not
Yeah, yeah.
understanding like how they might get started with it. And also Secret Club is very much Instagram based, as far as I understand. Like, yeah, figure out what is the value that you want to produce or bring to the participants. Just get started and like think about like, where are the people that you want to reach? Like, where are they spending time at?
Yeah, makes total sense. I really love that kind of summary, the 3 points kind of thing. But let's now dig into your frameworks. So, or
Yeah.
should I say, kind of theories, including
Mm.
motivation, planning,
Yeah.
happenstance theory, that kind of thing. But I'm really intrigued with this charisma thing. Can you expand and tell us more about
Oh my goodness, I was dreading that you'll ask about charisma, because it's the one that I'm the newest to.
that? Okay.
But yeah, so when I started kind of um, diving deeper into these theories that supported my experience and like this experiences of others that I was perceiving through various sources
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
keynotes, interviews, podcasts, like you name it.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, obviously there's this intrinsic motivation. Then there is this sort of like conditions where these like serendipity can happen, like like chance encounters can happen. But then like, you actually, to make things, to bring these opportunities or collaborations to life, you have to actually get other people on board. So it doesn't
Yeah.
really happen in a vacuum. And that brought me to charisma, because I felt that there are a lot of people who don't perceive themselves as charismatic, um, but definitely still have that persuasiveness that comes from their genuine interest in a topic. And then I started
Right.
looking into, well, what is charisma? And there were three theories about it
Okay.
that I found. The latest one kind of defines charisma as this like psychological phenomenon that describes a person's ability to influence, inspire, and attract others through this like unique combination of emotional expressiveness. So that like kind of like link between you and the topic. Confidence,
Right.
again, feeling confident in the topic because you've probably been doing a lot around that and you feel comfortable in there. Social sensitivity and a presence. So I felt like this was the kind of like final piece, like the final cherry on top to what makes these kind of conditions actually like become opportunities of collaboration.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because it's kind of, motivational theory,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, very normal. And then
Mm.
it's just charisma.
I
So I
like
was
it.
like, huh?
Charisma, pizzazz. But it's
Yeah.
actually, it's not as kind of vague or out there. Like, yes, there are multiple theories of charisma, and they're all a little bit different. They all define charisma a little bit differently. Like, I
Yeah.
think one of the earliest theories on charisma defines charisma as something like kind of like divine, God given. And
Okay.
I, on the other hand, very much
Interesting.
disagree with that.
Yeah.
I think charisma is a product. Like, of course, we have people who um, learn to project in a charismatic manner.
Right.
But I think that through genuine excitement, you will
Yeah.
appear charismatic, whether you're trained to be
Okay.
charismatic or not.
Yeah, it's a skill, isn't it?
Hmm. Absolutely. And
you're
it can
learning
also
through
just
time.
happen naturally. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Lovely. Well, now we've entered the part of the podcast which I like to call the zigzag zone. So I want to know
Cool.
where you're zagging and everyone else is zigging. So in your prep questions that you shared with me, you talked a little bit about your kind of childhood difficulty in kind of understanding and being mocked and teased, and then using that,
Yeah.
using your personality, your strengths, and seeing it as a positive. So talk to us about
Yeah.
that. What does that mean?
So I went pretty deep there, but I truly have experienced that like most of my life I've been a little bit of an oddball, and I was often called weird. Or I think that now that I'm older and wiser, and I can look like to the past, I'm like, well, I was a very much an extrovert growing up in a predominantly introverted society, and
Yes.
I did not understand why it was so wrong for me to be so excited and like wanting to connect with people and so on.
Yes.
But it has, of course, grown a little bit of character and allowed me to challenge myself a lot more, because if I wasn't kind of zigging where other people were zagging, then I
Yeah.
would have probably not gotten out of my comfort zone. But yeah, I had a couple of examples that I shared, and one of them was definitely when I left my previous role, and like, and I was unemployed at that time. So I jumped on nothing, and I was like, surely I will figure it out, and I will become one of the people who, like, find whatever cool thing is next. And that was how I like explained to myself that this was a good choice.
Okay.
But
I like
But
it.
yeah,
Nice.
so
Yep.
being unemployed, of course, the people tell you and they ask you, like your family members, friends, they're like, have you found a job yet? How many jobs have you applied for? And, they're all like, you need to apply and you need to find a job, find a job. And that's like the main message. And
Yeah.
I, on the other hand, felt really strongly that way. Now I have a lot of free time to actually study and like dive into the topics that I feel really passionate and curious about. And so I used most of my time to learn. So I was taking a couple of online courses about organizational psychology, about the science of happiness, which is an excellent course and so much fun, um, and so on. And like, I was founding my own community for people operations and TA professionals. So I was really like kind of doubling down on exploring what I find interesting and what
Yeah.
I find exciting. And I feel like that truly did help me then seize the opportunity when it came. So when
Yeah.
my current role appeared, I was sort of ready, and I was magically at the right place at the right time. I had already done a little bit of community building and studied this sort of, belonging and so on. And
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like
so
destiny kind of thing. You were ready
almost,
and
yeah.
it came at the right time. Yeah. Perfect. I love that. Well, now it's story time. So I want to know what
Mm.
happened with this kind of crazy Supermetrics interview. How did that happen?
Oh my God. Yeah. So, when Supermetrics published this role, and I remember it was like on LinkedIn, it was like office manager plus recruiter. And I was like, I've never
Right.
seen a plus sign in a job ad before. That was
Plus.
really funny. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, who uses pluses? I love that. That's weird. I love it. And I went through the description. I loved everything. It felt like the perfect fit and the perfect kind of like ramp to
Yeah.
transition from office to people ops. And they also said somewhere like pretty low in the bullet points when they were talking about like, what is it like to work here? They said like, we have a no asshole policy. And I was like,
Right.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm getting ready to apply. And I think it was like a Tuesday morning. I'm like, okay, now is the time. I am ready. I have my documents. I have everything at hand.
Yeah.
Now I will like send my application, and I go to LinkedIn, and the role is closed.
Oh.
That was quite a bummer. I was like, well, what do I do now? Like, this was my dream role. Like, what am I going to do? So I go to their website and I'm like, well, okay, so the role is still open here, but the application directs into email. And I was like, okay, so if they already closed the LinkedIn ad, my email is not going to make a whole lot of difference. They're probably not even monitoring that inbox necessarily. So I don't think email is going to bring me the result that I want. So then naturally I start looking for a phone number. I'm like, well, maybe I can give them a call and ask. There is no phone number, nowhere. The website has no phone numbers whatsoever. I'm like, okay, so what am I going to do? Like, what's the course of action that I can still
Yeah. Yeah.
their address, their office address. So I was like, okay, I am going to leave a little bit early so I can make it before 4 p.m. in case they are leaving. Then, like from the office, totally possible in Finnish society that people leave at
Yep.
4.
Yep.
So I was like, I need to make it before 4. And I go there and I am like sweating. My hands are like, that like cold, sticky feeling. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so nervous. And I knock on a door and some lady answers and I'm like, is this Supermetrics? And she was like, no, it's that door there. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Awesome. So I had a practice round. I was like, okay,
Yeah. Yeah. You were
that
ready.
door. Yeah. I was ready then. I was like, okay, another try. I go and I knock on the
Yep.
door and someone comes to answer and I'm like, hey, it's Mikael here. And the reason I asked for Mikael is that I had checked out that he is the founder and CEO, and it was a small company, so he's probably involved in that recruitment, right?
Yeah.
So this is me going based on my own little theories. And he
Uh,
looked very confused and surprised, but he was like, okay, yeah, he's there. I will go get him. And I was like, fantastic. And I showed myself into their
right. Right. Right.
entranceway into the office. And I was like, I'll just wait here. And yeah, so I wait, and soon Mikael emerges from the office, also looking very confused.
Yeah.
And I was like, who are you, sort of like, and I was like,
Yeah.
hi, so I'm Viivi, and you had this role open and now it's not open anymore, and I really felt strongly about this role and I wanted to apply. Would you still allow me to be considered? I have my CV with me, and I had my CV in my hand. I was like, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he takes the CV and he's like, well, I guess this shows initiative. We can have a chat in the meeting room. And then we
Right.
end up having an interview, just the two of us. And then, yeah. And then I went through the rest of the interview process, which was still like more phases, but ultimately got an offer for the role. And that's how I started at Supermetrics.
Very cool. Very funny, honestly. Little bit kind of creepy, but also very, very fun. Very cool.
Yeah, in hindsight, it can be a little bit alarming if somebody shows up at your office and asks you by
Yeah.
your name and you have no idea who that person is. But
Yeah.
I don't know, like desperate times call for desperate actions.
Desperate
Like,
measures. Yep, yep,
yes.
exactly. Well, I really loved your story. That was super awesome. And we are sadly coming to the end of the podcast, but I do have three final questions. for you.
All right.
So the first one is, imagine it's 2035. So in 10 years time, what is your life like?
Oh, I love this. I think I'm still doing something around people and community. Maybe I have snowballed my side hustle in hosting or keynote speaking into something I do more on the regular. Um, 10 years. Oh my goodness. So my oldest one is going to be 20. And that means that I will hopefully be seeing her build her career and her life and supporting my other kids. And maybe I'll have a sheep. Probably not yet, but it's my retirement plan.
Yeah, good. That's a good retirement
Yeah.
plan. I definitely agree. That's gold. Second question: how can listeners follow along with your journey? So, how can the audience follow along with your journey?
Yeah, so I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, so I would definitely guide them to follow me on LinkedIn or connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always open to new connections and collaborations. So I think LinkedIn is the main place. And if you're an
Amazing.
international, then I would encourage you to join the Horizon community, because then you'll have an invitation by default to every event I host.
Yeah,
And then we probably get to meet in person as well, hopefully.
lovely. And then last question: how can listeners be useful to you? So, what can they do to help you?
Oh, I love that question. That's so beautiful. If you are someone who feels as strongly as I do, or even just a little bit, like I would love to see more diversity in Finnish working life. I would love to
Lovely.
support a fellow international on their career journey, or whatever it is that you want to do a good thing for other people and help them belong, or like feel like they belong here. Then shoot me a DM and let's talk about how we can. Plot together for something fun to do that will support people, hopefully many people, in finding their place here.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for being on my podcast. I'm really looking forward to following along with your journey. But thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been so fun.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. To make sure you don't miss next week's episode, follow us on your favorite podcasting app. Do consider leaving us a review, as it helps the podcast tremendously.